I'd skip a few small things, because in the morning there were two guys who would do the same job as me. So the thing that I would skip nearly every day was sweeping the floors. I hated sweeping the floors because it was at the end of the long day, and the dock was fairly large, and there was just nothing going on. It'd be like 2-3 in the morning, and I think the other guys came in at 3:30. So after like 12 hours of physical labor, the last thing that I wanted to do before driving home for an hour was push a broom around for part of that time. So I would often skip that. Dang it. And I got chewed out a few times because of that. But I would spend that last hour or so doing more productive things that I thought would be more useful. So we had a high value client that would ship boxes to us, and we would ship them internationally to different places. The thing was, a lot of those boxes were around the same size, and there were like 25 locations, and the boxes were about a foot by a foot maybe for most of them. Some of them were smaller, some were larger. That was the main size of them. And so on some nights what I would do is I would stay extra and count those boxes on each destination the night before those always went out, because we would always run into the issue that my position would come in later than the desk position, so we wouldn't find out until pretty much they were gone, because right when I walked in the door it was the busiest day, and so trucks would be coming in and out, and I wouldn't be able to check what needed to go out. So if I checked the night before, that would give the desk people an opportunity to check their numbers and make sure that they matched up. And if they didn't, then often they would come out when I got there, or if it was something more serious, they would just go out and check it out themselves, because they could instantly see right when they got in how many of each box that we had, so they could see if there was an issue without having to wait too long. And the people that did that position seemed to appreciate it for that extra work, which I thought was nice. And then the guy who used to do my position, he filled in for me one week, and he was pretty amazed that I was able to get everything done, because when he did the old position, it was just, it was a two-man show, so he was just doing one of those positions, because we had a national and international guy, so I would do both of them. He said he was pretty amazed that I was able to get it all done, because he had to cut a lot of corners, he said, to get completed in time. And so he was happy that I was still doing that. Dang it, that I was there doing that. Died on the first thing. Anyways, and then my bosses, I don't know why they got upset with me one day, but they started doing talk that I was no longer needed around the place, which was kind of odd, because they didn't know who they were going to use to replace the positions, because they hadn't had anyone lined up yet. Like, I wasn't training anyone, so that poor guy was gonna have to be pulled from the desk probably to do that. So I walked in the office at one of those times, and the people that I checked the break for weekly stood up for me right then and there, which was kind of funny to watch, because one of the ladies was an old lady, a really calm lady, but when she had her mind stuck on something, she could get fairly harsh fairly quick. So she just kind of tore into our supervisors and just told them that the work that I was doing, yeah, it was taking more of my time, so I was getting overtime, but I was doing what two people were doing, and I had been the best in the position for international that she had ever seen, because how I was checking and double checking everything to make sure that everything was getting out and going to the right place, because shipping freight internationally to the wrong place can be costly, and then when those things are instruments that we're shipping to the wrong area, can be even more costly, because we either got to pay for them to be shipped back, or we got to buy new items. Most of the times it was just buy new items, because you couldn't always trust people to ship stuff back internationally. And then the guy that I covered for, he hadn't really said anything to our bosses until then of what I had to go through. So it was nice to just kind of walk in and just see everyone stand up for me, and everyone in the office know what type of work that I did, and how I tried to keep everything going and smooth, while my bosses really didn't have the best idea. But in their defense, I was like the lowest guy in the totem pole there. They didn't need to worry about what I did, as long as it was out. You know, as long as the freight was off the dock, it really didn't matter. My work schedule was like, it varied from day to day. It was on paper 4 till whatever 8 hours after that is. I forget now because it's been so many years. And you know, the higher ups, their schedule would be till like 4 or 4:30 most of the time, unless it was a Friday, or I worked in South Bend and everyone was a Notre Dame fan, so if it was a Notre Dame game, they weren't working at all, plain and simple. So they really didn't have the time to keep an eye on me and to see what was going on. They would just see how many hours I was putting in, and they would get worried about that because it was cutting into the bottom line. So, dang it, again. So they would just see that, and they'd get worried about that. But after watching everyone stick up for me, that was pretty good. So, that's good. Since then I've taken a similar approach at all my jobs. Dang it. Because I'm not someone who has been raised to suck up to a supervisor. Instead, I'd rather work with the people that I work with and do a good job and try and stick out that way. Because, dang it. Even if you suck up to a supervisor, that's not always going to work for you, because there may be someone else that they enjoy more. So your best bet when you do have a position is just to try to do that position and try and do it well. Focus on what you have to do and not what everyone else is doing. Unless your job is to help them do their tasks, then you should definitely focus on what they're doing, because it will be your position to help everyone out. My position isn't exactly helping everyone out, but on paper, but that's just kind of the way that I see it, is I fix the computers, I guess is plain and simple what I do. So they need their computer to do their job, so I do kind of help them out. So when there is an issue, there is a sense of urgency to try and get that complete, because if I can't do my job, then they can't do their job, costing the company a lot more than what it should be. So I try not to be the normal computer guy, just rush in there and push them off the computer and fix their problem. I try and do a little bit of small talk while I'm in there to try and put them at ease for the situation, defuse their anger, because a lot of times it's something small, and people get angry at computers for small things when they think it should be working a certain way and it doesn't. Dang it. Oftentimes it's just a small setting that people have changed unknowingly, so you just gotta keep them calm. When you work with people, that's a lot of what you do. I wouldn't even say working on computers is a huge part of my job. I would say that talking people through their issues and just kind of being a sounding board is sometimes just as big of an issue, which is fine by me. You sit there, you fix their problem, and they get a vent at you because God knows if they're at work, they're not having a good day. No one ever does, it seems like. And if you actually listen to them and you let them talk, oftentimes you get some pretty funny stories out of the deal. Sometimes you get some aggravating noise thrown at you, or sometimes you just get anger for something that you can't really fix. I've been yelled at plenty of times for things that have nothing to do with me. People think that because I am a computer technician, I know and deal with everything in the computer world. But there's certain things that I'm not trained at, and one of them is Mac stuff. We allow people to purchase Mac. We allow people to purchase Mac products, but the thing is that we tell them we have no type of certification on these. We don't use them personally. So if an issue arises, we can't do a whole lot for you. We can take a look at it and we can try. But that's the extent of what we can do. Because we are not, what do they call those? Mac geniuses? Nor will the company currently pay for the training of that, which is fine because I have something against Macs sometimes. So we will get people with Macs who have issues and demand that we fix them, which we try often. Puberty was nice there. We try. Pushed up. We try often. We don't always succeed. So that is that. Let's see. I've been playing for 30 minutes, which is an extremely long time to be playing this game. I will try and cut this up into smaller sections. I thought after 30 minutes of playing, I would for sure be able to beat this. And I didn't think I'd actually have that much worth of story to tell. I just kind of rabbit trailed from one to the other. I think I checked at 9 minutes when I started to actually tell some stories. And I passed on a few that I thought of. So we will give this one last. Well, this one after this one, we'll give one last hurrah, and then go from there. And it will be okay. I made it to 98 seconds, and that time I made it to 9:12. Okay, what I did on the 98 is I saw that like last thing that was coming. The one I forget what one it was even now, and I knew that was the last one, so I was focused on that one and not the one that I was doing, so I died. So maybe sometime I'll be able to actually beat the endless, and I do not look forward to the what was that called, endless expert. I know that will be extremely difficult. Maybe next time that I play, guys, we'll take a look at the expert voyage, since I already beat the regular voyage. So thanks for watching. Bye.